So yeah, we wanted to build like a sense of safety and comfort in the user, and then kind of take it away from them. This is kind of it's how you make people feel most vulnerable, I think, when you remove that sense of comfort and control. Yeah, we incorporated that approach into both like the visual and the sonic design. And also into like the basic assumptions of human life, like things like physics and colors and what you'd expect to see. We've kind of toyed with a lot of that, which you can only do in virtual environments, so that was quite useful. So the narrative also played a pretty important part here, along with the design. There's like a clear point where the narrative changes and the AI voiceover changes and starts questioning you as opposed to itself.
Now that I understand these emotions, maybe you need to be reminded.
From then on, throughout the game, it's quite hard to tell what's going to happen next. Kind of an indication of the AI having control over the whole experience and your own control being removed. Yeah, so one of the more experimental aspects was taking VR out of binaural and putting it into a full surround setup, which actually worked really well because it allowed for a lot more audience engagement than regular VR does. Obviously, it's quite isolated if you're wearing headphones, and it also eliminates the need for another cable kind of tethering you to the real world, so that worked quite well. So presenting it in 7.1 was really useful. It allowed the experience to be both personal to whoever was playing it, but it also allowed for an audience to participate in the experience as well, which is something that you don't see quite often in VR. So yeah, taking away the headphones and removing another connection to the real world allows for more immersion for the person who's playing it, but then it also becomes more of a public exhibition, a group activity, so to speak. If you could take that surround experience and also remove the cable for the headset, then suddenly you have a fully wireless VR experience in which the user can actually walk around the room and approach sound sources and explore their physical space. I think that's probably the next step in VR production.
For the sound design, we meshed digitally manufactured sounds with natural ambiences to create the illusion that the natural world and the virtual world are kind of melding, which aided in pushing forward the narrative for the latter half of the game. And it also allowed us to go out and field record and then be able to manipulate those sounds to put back into the environment that we created. In the latter half of the game, the sound design mirrors the visual design as it degrades, reflecting the player's loss of control.
The AI holds the narrative together, and it evolves and changes as the story goes along. So first, it starts as more of a guiding force.
I'm learning a lot from this. These tests are quite useful.
Then, as the story proceeds, the player loses control. The AI becomes more sinister in a
Do
way.
I sound human to you?
We're calling the evil AI trope. From a performative standpoint, we started out this typical cold, emotionless, robotic AI
I
voice.
can sense your fear, but I do not understand it.
And then as the story proceeds, his performance gets a little more human in a way, putting more emotion behind it.
Do you remember what it's like to feel human?
But we wanted to always strike that balance between keeping the delivery sort of flat and almost stilted, like it was delivered by an actual AI system,
One more test and I'll have all I need.
but also putting some feeling and intent behind these lines.
I think the latest thing we added was the animated skyboxes, which makes the whole thing more living and more immersive than it actually has been before. Because we tried to challenge the expectations of a user and the predictability of different models, we implemented models like the waterfall, which is absolutely different to some other models which are more detailed. It's a low poly plane that actually moves how water would move. And in combination with sound and in combination with the size and actually in the environment it is placed in, it has a surprising effect on the user because they don't expect this to be a waterfall but recognize it afterwards. And also different models which are not low poly but also more detailed. We played with different animations, and one of these things that we actually achieved to do with every model we used and the animations we used and with the combination of low poly and high definition models was that we actually tricked the user in their expectations or in the ability to know what to expect and to know what to predict in the end.
One of the things that I quite enjoyed about it as an experience was that it was virtual unreality in that respect, in that it's not trying to be an environment that you would normally encounter. I think there was a richness to it that I really enjoyed. That's one of the words I would use. Particularly a richness in the sound, which is really well mixed. And that, again, the qualities of some of the sounds, there's quite nice Aeolian kind of sounds in there and so on. So generally the sound design is really open, airy, rich.
I just went into the rooms and looked at them and enjoyed looking at them and enjoyed the thrill of being sort of in awe of all the imagination and and to be a participant in this imaginative universe, because the visual material and the sonic material said stuff together. They reacted well to one another. They belonged in the same. They were from the same place somehow, and the visual material was stimulating and confusing and chaotic. And I knew that I had to go somewhere, but I didn't feel like I had to go there at a particular time. There's something very nice about being in a room, but also being in VR, because you're in big rooms in the VR thing. Yeah. So having this tiny room of headphones around you is nowhere near as good as having a big room around you while you do this VR thing.
I think it was very interesting, the trust factor, because there was an established trust that started, initiated, which made me want to kind of linger. The autonomy of that, yes, I was capable to walk. The only thing was that the world I was walking was uncertain, right? Like the conditions of the world were uncertain, not that I was not in my own control, because unpredictability could also come from within, but like it was the surrounding that was making me do weird stuff. For example, I was chasing stuff that wasn't there, that's one. I was chasing paths that weren't supposed to be walked upon. I could walk on things that I was not normally meant to do. But that was the unpredictability of the world. It wasn't the autonomy of my, it wasn't coming from my end. So it was forced by the stimulus of that world. I think the waterfall, that thing, portal sort of thing, is absolutely wonderful. It's just beautiful because it's like you have minimalized. Like removing details from objects is already making things uncertain, because when you have details in something, things are very certain, and that's how human operates. It's a detailed report on stuff. But when you remove all sort of visual kind of, is it a tree, is it a bud, is it some sort of fog, is it mist? Those sort of questions provokes uncertainty, and I think it could be done visually. And when accompanied with sound, how big am I? The loss of scale is very important. Like, I didn't understand when I saw that, because I almost thought it was Earth, right? And I'm this gigantic monster beast in this absolute space, which is interesting, because like the question I want to walk out with is not that how unpredictable that world is, but who the hell am I in this kind of world that I'm trapped in?
Most of the time I was just sort of exploring and see what kind of mechanics you had introduced. Like, for example, when I was introduced to the spacey euphoria bit, and then you turn around and it's dark. I was like, what happens when I walk this way? And then stuff starts to appear, and then I turn around and then everything's there, and I was like, that's more of the kind of stuff I was trying to explore. Am I still the AI? I haven't seen Space Odyssey, but the voice that I've heard in various scenes is that's totally he's the laid back, monotone mixed with some GLaDOS from Portal. She's got the quips and the sass, and just a combination of the two. Obviously the male voice with the female personality. That's what it was based on. Some say true euphoria. One only needs to remove yourself from the world. You hear the sound of Your emotions make you human. Why are you trying to give them to me?
Fuck, what else?
Are you still the AI?
What?
Are you still the AI?
Am I still the AI?
I got that in there. All right.
Shook the spirit.